Hello everybody, Jason Meyer here, and I'd like to show you a couple of doodles. These are great for kids, for parents, for grandparents, young, old, single families. Anybody can do this. So just grab something to mark on, something to mark with. Doesn't really matter what it is, this is just for fun. And I'll show you how to do a little landscape, and then let's look at how to draw trees. Before we start, a little note: if you can do this, you can do what I'm about to do. Okay, so we can draw squares, we can draw tall rectangles, we can lay rectangles on their sides. We want to start simply, so if you can draw a box of various sizes, you are capable of doing this. But instead of drawing these boxes, or if you need to, you can start with them. What we're going to do is we're going to start with the inside and kind of make these boxes by working on the inside out. And then we can make these boxes bigger by pushing out the sides or pushing up the top. Okay, so this is called working with mass instead of line. And I am a painter, so I tend to think in mass rather than in terms of line. And it's a little fun. And then if we want a tree, we just modify the edges of that box until we have a tree. Right, and then with some negative shapes, what do I mean by negative shapes? Well, come on the inside of this, and you can do this with an eraser. Draw a few sky holes. And we can even put a shadow on the ground to show it sitting down. Anyway, so we're working, instead of line, we're going to kind of doodle from the inside out. So let's get started. So I'd like you to imagine, or you could even draw in if you want to, kind of a big rectangle taking up probably at least a third of the page, something like this. And then let's skip over some distance. And then from the top of our first one, we want to come in a little bit. And from the bottom, we want to go up so that this rectangle is smaller. Something like that. Then our third rectangle, again, we're going to go up and down, up from the top, down from the, up from the bottom, down from the top, and then we're going to lay this rectangle on its side. So when I erase the arrows, we have three rectangles, starting with a big one, starting with our big one, and smaller and smaller. If we want, let's imagine a road, and again, just for right now, I'm going to take this road and then let it go behind that tree, something like that. Okay, so let's make this into a beautiful landscape. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a few of my sky holes in so I don't have to erase them out later. So just modifying the shape a little bit. We don't want to go crazy with this. There we go. And then let's fill in around the sky holes and get as flat as you can. But again, stay loose. This is about fun. Just kind of exploring. Come out this way. So this method allows you a little more time to kind of relax, and you don't have to be on all the time. Right, as we're in the middle, all we're worried about is kind of getting this a little bit even. Not get too even down here. Next tree, and similar, let's give him a couple of sky holes there around the edge. We don't want to be too heavy-handed at first, just kind of suggest these things. Okay, and then this last one back here, it's going to be more distant. So it's going to be smaller, and there's a bunch of them together. Then what we can do is we can come back up front, and you can just do this by going over what you already have. That'll darken it. And then let's make this one darker than the one behind it. And then for our next one, and you can do this by just not pressing as hard, this one's going to be a little bit lighter. A little bit lighter, and maybe it's throwing a shadow this way. And then we can go even lighter back here on these last ones. Okay, so with the same idea of, so we can switch colors now. If you've got a red, a crayon, a pencil, anything will do. I'm just going to do it in white so you can see it. But what we want to do is put a road down here. So we've got our line going this way. And now let's work across our line. And look, let's go really big here at the beginning. Let's go maybe to halfway. Boom, over halfway of the bottom. You see this is closer to this side than it is that. So that's over halfway. And we're just going to work across our line, getting a little bit smaller and a little bit weaker or softer edge. Not quite as dark tone. You see as I go over this and flatten this out, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger here up front. And then as we go back into space, right, we don't want lines that we're coloring inside of. We want these shapes to be a little more organic. And by going across and doodling this way, you get a little more organic shape. And again, we're going to get really small as we go back here. And see it just disappear. Okay, and voila, there you go. You have a little bit of landscape. So that's an idea you can play on over and over again with little doodles. So that's a big overall landscape. What about something a little more particular? Say, any tree in your neighborhood or your yard that you want to do. Just a little hint, in art, straights stop things and they give you structure, whereas a curve and a diagonal is more active. So if you can get a little bit of a curve into your trunks and trees, they'll look better. So what if I started with something like this? Again, I'm going to go across. Just going across that. Bigger here at the bottom. It'll flare out a little bit like a pair of bell bottoms. Again, it'll depend on what kind of tree you're drawing. And then smaller. Notice how where the branches meet the trunk, there's generally a little flare or bulb or something there too. Just don't make it straight into it. Right? Just angle it a little bit. However you're going. And we can just wander up this tree. And again, we're working from the inside, just pushing out. With each thing getting a little bit smaller. A little bit smaller. So we're doing the structure of the tree right now. The trunk. We're not worried about leaves or anything at this point. I love drawing and sketching trees. They're so just varied and so beautiful and majestic. Trees. I know most people don't consider them creatures, but to me they're beautiful, beautiful creatures. and just to sit and be among them. And then what if some of these were covered with leaves? Maybe something like this on that side. It's a little denser in some areas. And you just keep going, pushing from inside to out. So I'll let you guys get to work on that. There's no need to sit and watch me. You come up with your own. It can almost be like a series of pipes, and it's a challenge. Right? Did I get too wide there? A little bit. So I can either make it wider back here, or I can grab my eraser and make that a little bit thinner. Right? There's no worries. Just be casual and have fun. Doodle, doodle, doodle. All right, so there's a couple of doodles for people of all ages and persuasions. I hope you'll take us up on that and do some doodling on your own. All right, this is Jason Meyer, and we'll talk to you guys soon.